झुकाने वाला चाहिए. You know, that's a statement that came from CJP, you know, just to add the context to what you're really asking, the political contours.
See, all of you have...
Jhukti hai duniya, Jhukane Vala Chahiye.
All of you have visited the site and you
Professor, you'll have to unmute yourself. My apologies.
Oh, how does one unmute? Okay.
Can you hear us?
Yeah. Can you hear now?
Yeah, yes, you're with us, Professor Lochan. Please go on.
So, what I was saying was, you've all been to the site and you know the kind of energy that was flowing through the site, and that has been the kind of energy which has been around for the last 3 days. Before the 20th episode, the energies were relatively low. Since then, they have been extremely high. However, as a historian, I know that these energies don't necessarily translate into a political movement. Political victories, translating political victories into a political movement requires a very different kind of a mindset and a different kind of organizational ability of the kind which Kejriwal had shown earlier. Whether the CJP leaders will be able to bring in that kind of ability, I am not sure about that. I don't have any knowledge on that at the moment. As far as the resignation of Dharmendra Pradhan is concerned, certainly there is a big learning for the BJP over there. The Prime Minister for the last 5 years had been talking about youth. In many of his speeches, he had mentioned that it was necessary to have the youth come forward and do something for the youth. Despite that, the government really did not do anything. As far as I know, a few initiatives that did take place, the successful initiatives were put down. The initiatives which were put into place, like the Prime Minister's internship scheme, etc., there was no effort to establish feedback links over there and to ensure that those schemes are successful. So the government has effectively given up hope on the youth, stopped doing anything for the youth. And this particular protest showed us in a very big way that the youth demands that they be taken care of. Whether all this youth is a student, I don't know, because a very large number of this youth who was there on the ground, they are not students. They are actually people who were working and who had taken time off from their work to join this particular movement. Whether the government will be able to take the initiative, whether the CJP will be able to take the initiative, this is a tossed up thing. As like survey after survey has said, the people at the moment are relatively disenchanted with the BJP government. This kind of disenchantment results in challenges to come up for the government. Whether this disenchantment results in the opposition gaining an upper hand over the government, that I can tell you that it's not going to happen, because the opposition does not even have an image of being friendly to any particular social group. They have over the years demonstrated repeatedly that they are incapable of taking sensible decisions or moving forward in a sensible manner. Some of that we saw in the opposition trying to block the parliament, where they could actually question the government and tell the government that it was wrong and the kind of steps that the government needed to take. There's a very important thing over here which we have to keep in mind. This tremendous energy that the youth have demonstrated, this tremendous energy can certainly be harnessed for very constructive purposes. This particular purpose of getting a minister to resign was constructive enough. Whether the youth will be able to find ways and means of doing more constructive things, ये आने वाले समय में देख के पता चलेगा.
All right.
Wherever you have a few thousand people assemble, over there it's but natural for a handful of mischief makers to enter. These mischief makers could be there for personal reasons, they could be there for ideological reasons, they could be instigators from a foreign power. Those are things which are open-ended. And therefore, it's very, very important, as it happened in the case of the farmers' struggle, it's very important for the people who are organizing the protest, for them to establish their own strong security systems. The CJP and a youth protest of this variety does not have the capacity to set up that kind of security measures for itself. So I would say that yes, there is a matter of Arajak Tattva, and that should be taken seriously enough. Security is not something which we should allow to be an excuse for not dealing with the protests. In this particular episode, we have seen that both the parties, the people who were protesting and the people who had been dealing with the protest from the government side, they have shown a tremendous amount of warmth and wisdom. This shared warmth and wisdom is precisely what is needed in any confrontation of this variety. You would remember that in the farmers' agitation also, the government and the farmers showed a lot of warmth. The farmers would go in, they would talk to the government people, they would come out and say that we have come to a settlement, and then they would go back to the Alipur border, and at the Alipur border someone would counsel them that they should continue the struggle and that the demands had not been fulfilled. Much like the professor previously was saying, complaining about opacity, etc. So similar things would be told to the farm leaders at the Alipur border, and the net result would be that the agitation, instead of ending, would continue. In that particular episode, the government showed warmth and wisdom, but the farm leaders refused to show that. In the present case, both sides have come together and both sides have behaved in a way which is very, very constructive. However, please remember that if there are a few thousand people assembled over there, there's going to be a large body of people who will be mischief makers. So these mischief makers, the CJP may or may not have any control over them. And in the next few hours, we will see whether these mischief makers take over the upper hand or whether they disperse.
I'm saying that it's about the legitimacy of the protest. I mean to say that it's about delegitimizing protest.
No, Kartikeya, all protests are legitimate. And as I've said again and again, the dharma of the opposition is to bring down the government, and the dharma of those who support the government is to say that those who are opposing the government, they don't have any moral standing to oppose. So it's only the privilege to say that both sides are right and both sides have a point to offer. That privilege is reserved for journalists or perhaps neutral professors like me who don't have a direct stake in the whole matter. Please remember, those people who are involved in the process, those people will definitely take sides, those people will definitely try to bring someone else down, and people who are in public life just develop a thick enough skin to deal with such a situation. They don't take these things very seriously. The government doesn't take it very seriously. Those opposing the government don't take it very seriously. We should not take it very seriously either. तो जो द्वंद्व की आपने बात की थी पिछली बार, वो द्वंद्व कहीं नहीं असल में यहाँ, क्योंकि एक धड़ा है वो अपना धर्म निभा रहा है, दूसरा धड़ा अपना धर्म निभा रहा है, दोनों धर्म बराबर के हैं, इसमें कोई सही और कोई गलत नहीं होता.
I've always had this question, and this is over the period of protests that we have covered. A very normal way to discredit a protest is to bring in the different angles and move away from the focus of it, the heart of it. And I'm not asking this in a way to put the government in the dock, though really one would have said what was the way out for the government other than to do what it did, because there really wasn't any other way that this protest. That's the core and that's the heart of it. Because the fact that they could not touch this protest, I still believe, was because there were a lot of young people who were not what they were saying was people with vested interests or people who had their extreme, who were a threat to national security.
See, I would say
that's the main course.
I would fully agree with what you are saying. I understand where you are coming from. What I would say is that such protests, large-scale movements, they are not very crystal clear in either their organization or their demands.
That is everywhere, sir.
Yeah, so it's perfectly all right.
It's going to happen.
You would have to grant the fact that people who are supporting the BJP, politically involved in the BJP, they will definitely want to bring down a protest and say that it is morally wrong. Now, if they are making that point, surely in a democracy, they have as much of a right to be heard as the protesters have a right to be heard. You cannot privilege only one side and say that only one side needs to be given a platform to speak out, no?
Sure, sir. But when you have the entire state machinery on one side and you just have a bunch of
That's
people
perfectly all right. I mean, everyone who has...
But sure, we get where all of you are coming in. I think these are interesting conversations because everybody is talking about them. They're saying how